Oh, that's a good one. Oldie but goodie. Welcome back, everyone. It's time now for our segment we call Things to Care About. And I love that today you are diving into something that is really tough for a lot of people. And that is really, truly forgiving someone.
Yes.
And
maybe somebody's resolution in the new year is to finally let go of that grudge, forgive somebody, take a relationship that maybe they haven't had for a while and repair it.
Really?
I know, it's hard.
Why are you talking about this today?
It's hard.
Now you're going to make me start thinking about any relationship that we want to fix, which I know you have to think about. Number one, forgiveness. If you don't do that, you're the one who really suffers.
True.
It is so true.
True. And forgiving somebody doesn't mean that you have to be best friends with them.
Right. Exactly.
It just means, like you just said, letting go of how it is burdening you.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. And how it is holding you back from being your best self. Because sometimes all those feelings just make you feel so terrible. Right. Why would you want to stew in all that?
Right. And forgiveness is hard, as it says right there on your screen. And there was an article that kind of walks us through the ways of what we kind of process when we're trying to start the forgiving process.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the first one is called "It Doesn't Fix the Broken Plate." And that sounds interesting, but if you throw a plate on the floor, it obviously would shatter into a bunch of pieces. You say you're sorry to the plate. Say I'm sorry to the plate. Does the plate magically go back together? It does not. It needs lots of work, probably lots of glue. And then sometimes you still don't want to eat off that plate, and sometimes it might just be a lost cause and you throw it in the trash anyway.
I like.
Okay?
Mimi?
Figuratively speaking. You won't throw anybody in the trash.
Right, but
the plate, you don't want to cut your
figuratively,
foot. You don't want to cut your foot again.
Absolutely. Figuratively speaking, you may not want anything else to do with that plate. Or you may put it up on the shelf and just look at it every now and then and remember the lessons that plate taught you. Right. Right? And
there's now, especially in the times that we're in, lots of family members are fighting.
It's crazy.
It really is. And it makes me sad because I think, gosh, I mean, there's no, I tell my kids all the time, you guys are going to be each other's, God willing, longest relationship.
Right.
You two are going to know each other your whole lives. That's so special. Don't let anything come in between that. So it's very sad that people are fighting
over whatever it is these days, politics, religion, all of the things that we just need to, remember to prioritize in a relationship, that it is about family, and if in the event we're talking about family.
The next one is it changes your expectations of people. I thought this was really interesting. So the author of the article said she asked a room full of women business leaders what is the one thing that they could not forgive, that was their non-negotiable, that would break them forever, and they said betrayal, like any kind of betrayal. And then this step kind of leads to you have an image of somebody in your mind that you trust, whether it be a spouse or a best friend or a family member, and then when they do something to upset that, it like shatters your whole perception of them. So maybe it's coming to the place of meeting somebody where they are, and maybe they're not the person you thought that they were.
Right.
Which is something you kind of have to internalize.
That's very
and fix.
heavy. I know.
I know, isn't it? As it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, gosh, I don't know if we can get into that.
It is very deep, which is why therapists are in business. No, but which is honestly why we seek that help and that guidance in trying to make these relationships whole again, or whatever whole again means. Again, whether it is walking away in a healthy fashion, but I think that's the worst part, is that when you have held someone up in such high regard, whether it is a spouse, a friend, a family member, and then they disappoint you so tragically.
Right.
And that forgiveness is
And I think
tough.
it's too, at such a point in your life when you realize, and I mean, I had two great involved parents, but when you realize that your parents aren't perfect and that they're just regular human beings.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, that's weird.
It's a
because
real-
I held them in such high esteem.
Right.
And not that they've even, and it probably, I mean, I can't even think of a specific instance or anything, but it's just like, you're like, oh, they have feelings and emotions and are going through things just like
everybody else. That's so true.
Yeah.
These are really good. We'll have Trent post this article as well.
Okay. The third one is it needs to be processed properly. So I kind of alluded to it a minute ago, but how everybody's situation is relative, right? So meeting people where they are, and sometimes if something happens, you feel like it's to you, right? So like you're upset or there's some kind of betrayal and you internalize it and make it about you, when really you need to see where the other person was coming from, and then it's easier to forgive them because it's less about what was happening to you.
You know who's amazing with that is Chesley McNeil.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about that a lot in Love Doctors, where, I mean, he really has the ability. I mean, forgiveness is one of the most important things, and he's been married over 20-something years.
Yeah.
But for him, that's always a real key component then, is seeing, like, the person kind of stripping things down and saying, what situation were they? And it's not easy to do.
Sure.
Don't make it about you. Really make it about that person, or how could I look at this empathetically?
Right. Well,
Not
another
easy.
thing the article stressed too, and I don't remember much from being raised in the Catholic Church. Sorry, I just don't. But like in Mass, when you're little, you're not really like taking notes on the homily, right?
Right.
But I do. This sticks with me all the time. Is that a priest once said, to truly forgive is to also forget. And I hear so many people say all the time, well, I've forgiven them, but I have not forgotten. And
Totally
it's like,
agree.
well, the second step of truly forgiving somebody is forgetting what they did, because then you will never be able to treat them as you once did, because you'll be harboring resentment, essentially, over the betrayal. But then what do? Do you just go all, like, it's all okay? I don't know. Help.
I know. We would love for you to weigh in on our Facebook page, I think, or on Twitter.
Because Maya Angelou also said, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Yes. So that's the tricky part, is that part two of the forgetting. Because if you forget, aren't you putting yourself at risk of getting hurt in the same way again? If you truly try and forget, first of all, I don't know many times can you truly forget a transgression that was so great against you?
Right.
How do you truly forget?
I don't think
Not talking about forgiveness now. We're talking about step two, forget.
Right.
We want you to weigh in.
Yes. All right. Did we solve any problems? I don't think so.
It was deep. And gosh, wait till we get to real talk.